Hello, spooky people. It's Jennifer, and as promised, I have some true ghost stories for y'all. Tonight, it's going to be me and my husband, and we're going to talk about the stories and things that happened to us when we were together. Before these stories, we had other things that we had experienced. We'll talk about those at a different time. The first time we had went to a concert, a zebra concert, and this was like 26 years ago. We went to this concert and it was really late after, probably after midnight, and we went to my parents' house. They weren't home. They were out of town, and I don't know if we were feeding the cat or I don't know what we were doing, but we went there and we were playing on the computer, and the only light in the room was the computer, and it was dark. So the only light was the computer. And we were just sitting there and we were playing some kind of golf game. It was really goofy. But we were playing this game. All of a sudden, I saw out of the corner of my eye, and I looked over, this floating cloud. It was white, apparition, kind of like clearish, ghost-like ball of something float across the wall and just go into the wall, and it disappeared. And I'm like, okay, that's just a shadow. It's a shadow. So I look over. The whole time that I'm doing this, my husband is looking at the same thing, like in the same direction. And he looks at me.
Did you see that?
Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. I don't know what it was, but I saw it.
And I'm like, oh my God. Y'all, it freaked me out.
Almost like a cloud looking, I guess apparition is the best way to say it. And it was just kind of slowly floating through the room until it got to the wall, and it just poof, just disappeared like into the wall. And the whole time I'm looking at it, I didn't realize that my wife is looking at it, and she's like, did you see that? Did you see that? And I was like, yeah, I just saw it. So it was pretty weird.
And the thing was, like, I didn't feel threatened by it at all, because I have seen those before, and I did feel threatened, but I didn't. So we just sat there, kept playing the game, and I have to say, after it happened, we did look around. It was really late at night. Cars were not going down the street. There was just...
We tried to explain it, but there was no explaining it away.
Exactly. There was no explaining that. So, y'all, I don't know what this stuff is. If it's a ghost, it's just definitely otherworldly. It is not... I don't know. I don't know what it is. And that was our first experience. We have some more experiences, and they all revolve around an apartment that we lived in. So we lived in an apartment. It was upstairs. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. And when we moved in there were pennies everywhere. And the strange thing is, like, we would pick up the pennies, because I had some little children at that time. And so we, pick up the pennies, but the pennies kept showing up.
Yeah,
the
weird.
Pennies, it was really strange, because pennies would just show up, and I don't know where they came from. We didn't think anything about it. I don't know what we thought. We thought about it after all this other stuff went down. For instance, my husband was like laying on the floor in the living room, and our daughter was newborn. Yeah, she was a baby. And I'll let you tell this part.
Yeah, so I was laying on the floor, and I had my daughter laying on my chest, because she was literally just a few weeks old at the time. And I was talking on the phone with my mom, and all of a sudden we hear this it sounded like somebody picked the apartment up, shook it, and threw it back down. It sounded like a shelf fell with all kinds of stuff falling off of it and breaking it. And my mom even heard it on the other end of the phone. She was like, what was that? And we're like, we don't know. We're going to go look. It sounded like it came from where our pantry area was. My wife went in there and looked, and nothing was out of place. Nothing had fallen. It was one of the first weird things that we noticed in that apartment. It was kind of like, what was that? You can't explain what happened.
No, and the thing is, now let me tell you a little bit that went on right before the sound occurred. So he's in there talking to his mom, holding our daughter, and I'm in the pantry. So it's a pantry. It was pantry / washer, dryer, laundry room. So I was in there, and something told me, like, I didn't hear it say, but in my head, like, something was like, look around. Take a look around you. Just look around. And I thought, that is so weird. But I did it. I looked around everywhere where I was at, like on all the shelves, and just kind of looked around me, and I'm like, okay, that was weird. And I walked out of there, and I was back in the living room with them, and then that happened.
And it was like really loud. Like, I mean, you just thought for sure, like, a whole bunch of stuff had just fallen, and it was
like
everywhere.
A cabinet fell off the wall.
Yeah, it was.
It's crazy. I go in the kitchen, so you go through the kitchen and into that laundry room. Well, on my way to the laundry room, I'm looking around the kitchen. I'm open every cabinet. I walked into the laundry room, and I did a scan, and I'm just like, oh my God, something told me to look around, now the noise in that area, but there's nothing had fallen at all. And it was definitely in our apartment. It wasn't, like somebody next door or nothing. Like, it was in our apartment. And y'all, we just cannot explain that. There's just so many strange things that happen in this apartment. Sometimes you would wake up and the bathroom light would be on. The TV would come on by itself. And y'all, I know a lot of this can be explained, but there's just so many things that happen in this apartment.
We had a box fan that we would keep running. Basically, it helped me sleep. It would get knocked over, not just knocked over. It was like somebody picked it up and like threw it on the floor. You could hear it, and we saw it. Like, it was like, wow, like, what just happened here? Like my wife mentioned, the bathroom light would come on, and our son, he was only like 3 at the time, and my daughter was an infant, and they slept in the room with us, so they didn't turn it on. The TV would come on several times right before it was time for me to get up to go to work. The electricity would like go off and come back on.
It was messing up the alarm clock and making sure that he was going to get to work late.
Yeah, it was so weird.
It was. I'm telling you, it was just a few minutes every day right before he was supposed to get up. It was like an alarm clock that had a radio and everything, and we never had any problems with that thing until we moved in there. It would be set for him to get up for work. The electricity would surge and turn off the clock. Like I said, we had 2 bedrooms, but our kids just slept in the room with us. Our son had a bed at the end of our bed, like one of those little metal toddler beds. The room that we had made up for them was adorable. It was a nice little room, but I'm going to tell you something. That room, there was something weird with that room. I have no clue what was weird about that room, but nobody ever wanted to go in there. All their toys were in there. Everything was hung up. Had a nice bathroom hooked to it, and that bathroom was even weirder than the room. Like, nobody ever showered or used that bathroom. I fixed everything up. Everything was all fixed up and cute and everything, and nobody could stand to go in that whole bedroom or that bathroom and the closet in there, y'all. I don't know what it was about that room, but...
And it was one of those things that you hear about how the temperature drops or it's cooler. Well, that room was like that. If you walked into that room, you felt a chill. It was cooler there than anywhere else in the apartment. Our son, he wouldn't even go in there and play with his toys. Like, it was just... It had a weird feeling to it.
Y'all, I know this one's all over the place, but this apartment was really, really weird. We found a Barbie head hanging in the tree that was like right by the apartment. Like, you walk up the stairs to our apartment, this tree is like basically all right next to the stairs. And somebody hung a Barbie head in it, and it looked like my head. It had like long brown hair, and I mean, it just freaked me out. And above our door, there was like blood smeared. And we're just like, what is that? Why is that here? I was like, that is blood.
That was the same time as the Barbie head, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the same time as the Barbie head.
Yeah, it was weird.
So I may be I'm jumping a little ahead here, but when we were moving out of that apartment, we had to move out of it because of all the strange things that happened. Before our lease even got up, we had to go. I was moving things down the stairs. We were moving out, packing up. And I looked in that tree, and that tree was bare at this time because, of winter. When I looked in that tree, there was this strange, I don't even know exactly how to explain it, a really strangely braided thing that looked like hair or rope or something. I don't know. It was some kind of strange braided thing was hanging strangely in that tree. So I don't even know what that is, y'all. I'm just telling you, it's weird. I don't know what was up with that hair, rope, weird braided thing. It was very intricate.
It's not like they were in there hanging in the tree the whole time we were there. Like the Barbie head, somebody hung up, we took it down, and then there was nothing, and then all of a sudden this other thing appears. So somebody was coming up there and putting this, whatever these things were, in the tree.
This is a weird one here, too. One night, I guess it was probably 3-something in the morning, all of a sudden, me and him both, we were sleeping, but we popped up, looked at each other, and I started crying, and he's like, what's going on? And I was like, well, I had a dream. He goes, I was having a dream, too. We started talking to each other, and I'll let him tell y'all some of this part.
It was just I guess it was more like a nightmare. I just felt so angry and just furious in this dream, and you could just feel it. It was very disturbing. I don't even remember most of the dreams I have, but this one just, like she said, made us pop up, what is going on? And then she's sitting there telling me that she had the same dreams and the same feelings at the same time. So that was very weird.
It was. And I was dreaming that I was in the air, floating in the air, and was just very angry and mad and trying to kill him. I'm telling you, it scared the crap out of me, and all I could do, and it was so, let me tell you, the room was absolutely freezing. I got under the blanket, literally all the way under it. I was crying. I didn't even want to look around because I was scared of what I would see. I told him, I was like, please. I was like, check on the kids, make sure they're okay. I was like, I can't move. I am terrified. I think that may have been one of the most terrifying things I have ever experienced. Yeah, and it was weird.
It was just a really bad energy.
We lived in another apartment before this one, and we didn't have any problems whatsoever. So I don't know what was going on there. I don't know what was attached to it. I don't know. It was so strange. I'm going to go back to the alarm clock situation. I was woken up a couple of nights during this situation where the electricity surge and mess up the alarm clock and everything. Something told me to wake up. And it told me to look at the clock. And this is before we knew, we didn't know why the alarm clock at first wasn't going off for him to go to work. We didn't know what was going on. But something told me, wake up, look at the clock. So I woke up, peered over him, looked at the clock, the electricity surged, and the clock went off. And when I say it surged, it just goes off, comes right back on. And I do not think that this was just it's an electricity surge. No, it was something really strange going on and messing up that clock. And something told me to get up, just like something told me to wake up and look at that clock. And that, it's the same thing that happened when the big boom went on in the laundry room. Y'all, my husband has one true ghost story of his own, and I'm going to let him tell y'all his story.
Another weird story, but it's a true one. This was years ago, probably, it's probably at least 30 years ago. And me and my best friend, we were teenagers. He lived pretty close to a cemetery, so we'd walk to this cemetery and just hang out. We weren't doing anything bad or getting into anything. It was just a nice, quiet place where we could go just sit and talk, and we would drink beer. Well, we'd been there many times before, and we'd never seen anything. And on this particular night, we're just sitting there talking, and I look over and I see this like a shadow type thing run behind a headstone. And I'm kind of looking at it, and then I see it run to another, and it's like this weird little imp looking little thing. It had 2 legs, it was on 2 legs, and it had arms and a head, but it was as tall, as the tombstone. It would run and hide behind one and then run to another one. And I'm sitting there looking at this, obviously I'm stopped talking and put my beer down, and I'm like, okay, maybe. But at the same time, my friend's like, oh my God, did you just see that? Did you just see that run behind the tombstone? I'm like, dude, are you serious? You saw that too? And he tells me, he's like, yeah. So needless to say, we got up and out of there pretty quick. And I've been back to the cemetery a million times trying to look and see where, in the area that we saw this. To this day, I don't know how to explain it. It was just so weird. I would have thought if it was just me seeing it, okay, that's weird, but maybe my mind's playing tricks on me, or my eyes, or whatever. But the fact that he saw it at the same time, and we got to talking, and he explained it exactly how I saw it. So we definitely saw the same thing. And like I said, it's been over 30 years, and we'll still get together, every now and then and be like, man, you remember that thing in the cemetery? Yeah, dude, I remember that. But that was the first thing that I'd ever experienced like that's ghostly or otherworldly or whatever you want to call it. But it was definitely weird, and definitely something I'll never forget.
I think that is the end of our ghost stories together, but there will be more. I have some very interesting ones of my own. My son has some that he will share with you. Y'all stay tuned, because we're going to have more true ghost stories. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and share. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because we're going to have a lot more fun videos. Y'all stay safe. Bye.